In ancient Greece,
I have an urgent question for you about ancient Greece.
Athens experienced an oligarchic regime known as the 30 Tyrants, a pro-Spartan government that came to power following Athens' defeat in the Peloponnesian War.
Peloponnesian War, gentlemen.
Their rule brought extreme conservatism, widespread oppression, and a bloody purge. People lived in constant fear as property was confiscated at will. There was no freedom, except in rhetoric.
We are emotional beings, after all, and rhetoric is the fuel that feeds the fire.
But we have to remember that true freedom is impossible when basic survival is at risk. Without the fundamental conditions for living being ensured for all, equality is unattainable. And without equality and freedom, happiness is not possible. Not even for those in power, even if they believe otherwise. Tyrants might think they are winning, but they live in isolation, trapped in their own misery. Aristotle says that there is no happiness in isolation. The happiness of an individual depends on the happiness of the city they live.
Happiness is not sufficient for a man himself, but also for parents, family, friends, and fellow citizens, since humankind is born for citizenship.
Tyrants spread their suffering to others as if it would ease their own pain. But it never does. It only makes things worse. Under this regime in Athens, many of those who supported democracy faced exile, and more than 1,500 Athenians died. In this kind of city, the elementary interests of citizens such as work, health, justice, security, food, education, and housing are not on the ruler's agenda. They are not interested in these basic things because they are rich. But what is an oligarchy? If we recall some high school classes, we learned that oligarchy is a political system in which power is concentrated in a small group of individuals, usually belonging to the same social class, family, economic, or political group. This small group exercises control over the decisions and resources of the state, often to the detriment of the interest of most of the population. The term originates from ancient Greek. Oligoi means few, and archein means to rule. Therefore, oligarchy means government of the few. According to Plato in the Republic, the oligarchic system arises from the accumulation of wealth combined with ever-increasing city spending. In the city, as each one sees their neighbors getting richer and richer, they try to emulate the rich.
Remember, they love money, so just pretend like you own a gold mine and you're in the club.
The more they think about making a fortune, the less they value virtues. When in a state, wealth and the rich are honored, virtues like compassion, kindness, social justice, friendship, and prudence become the object of disdain. The rich are praised and admired and put in government, but as for the poor, they are neglected. In the oligarchic system, there are two cities, that of the poor and that of the rich, who live together in the same place and in constant conflict. In the Republic, the oligarchic man is pictured as uneducated and driven by sordid motives, aiming solely at personal gain, a metaphorical treasure hoarder. While he outwardly maintains a semblance of virtue, his true nature reveals itself when in power. In such positions, he displays mean-spirited tendencies without fear of consequence, prioritizing self-interest over moral integrity. In politics, Aristotle defines oligarchy as a government ruled by the wealthy. In its extreme form, power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few. As fortunes grow and fewer people control wealth, oligarchy evolves into a system where the minority governs based solely on their interests.
When the influence of these individuals derives from immense wealth, governance shifts away from the rule of law. Instead, it resembles a monarchy, with authority resting in the hands of powerful men rather than in the law.
The risk for democracy was mentioned in former President Joe Biden's farewell speech.
And in a democracy, there's another danger to the concentration of power and wealth. It erodes a sense of unity and common purpose. It causes distrust and division. Participating in our democracy becomes exhausting and even disillusioning. And people don't feel like they have a fair shot. We have to stay engaged in the process.
But he was not the first to warn about the current U.S. political regime as we witness the increasing dominance of a few super rich and super powerful individuals in the national interests. Senator Bernie Sanders has been warning that the current American political system is an oligarchy.
This is not one person, one vote. This is not all of us coming together to decide our future. This is oligarchy. In my view, this issue of oligarchy is the most important issue facing our country and the world because it touches on everything else. It touches on climate change, touches on healthcare, touches on whether or not working people are going to have a decent standard of living, touches on whether or not we can eliminate poverty.
This is something every American citizen should be thinking about. But you might be wondering why I'm discussing oligarchy when I initially proposed to reflect on chapter 5 of Seneca's book on the tranquility of mind. Well, in this chapter, Seneca cites Socrates' behavior in front of the 30 Tyrants to exemplify the thought that the worst evil of all is to abandon the fight while we are still alive. During that chaotic scenario, Socrates was not intimidated and went to the streets to talk to the youth, dialogue with people, stimulate critical thinking, question absolute truths, and provoke in those who believed they mastered knowledge, oratory, and truth, the feeling that they did not understand so well what they were trying to convince others to be true. Of course, this behavior provoked fury in those powerful men, but this is a topic for another video. What Seneca is saying here, in the same way as in the previous chapter, and notice how consistent he is the idea that it is always possible to do something, even when we believe we do not have the ideal conditions or we are not at the perfect time to do something. When we live in moments of despair or apprehension because of the political situation, we should not panic. This week, I heard Senator Bernie Sanders call about the need to stay focused on what matters, on citizens' rights and on the duty of those who can to educate people, to understand, to rationalize facts, to be cautious about the news, about what is true, about what is lie. It reminded me of Seneca's words in this book. Now, more than ever, we must discuss oligarchs and tyrants. Seneca closes this chapter with a positive call to action.
If we live in an age when serving the state is not easy, it is our duty to devote more time to leisure and the pursuit of knowledge. Just as in dangerous navigation, we find shelter in a harbor.
So what is the plan? Not to panic, not to get distracted from what really matters. Get leisure, stay with friends, protect yourself, protect your mental health, dance, laugh, have fun. But do not give up fighting for a better life in this planet. Do what you can and be curious, get knowledge, challenge those who are trying to change history, deny reality, and ignore the future.